So what I want to do with this video is provide you with a low resolution image of what we as humans can expect with a global average temperature rise of around 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. To do this, I've taken data from the 2018 Special Report on Global Warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius. The data was compiled using a global average, so some locations might be impacted much more and some much less. But as we witnessed with the pandemic of 2020, we're all interconnected and dependent on each other in our current globalized economic system.
Worried customers have been snapping up everything in sight. Store shelves nationwide are dwindling or totally empty.
I can't believe what people are doing inside. Shelves are empty. It's like we're going to I don't know where.
For example, what's on our shelves today is likely produced somewhere else, and by somewhere else I mean much farther away somewhere else. For context, the Special Report on Global Warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius was published by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change on October 8, 2018. The report, approved in Incheon, South Korea, includes over 6,000 scientific references and was prepared by 91 authors from 40 countries. By current estimates, as the accelerated rate of warming continues, we'll likely breach 2 degrees of warming by the early 2030s or sooner. As Dr. James Hansen put it recently, 1.5 degrees is deader than a doornail, meaning we'll very likely exceed this level in our current decade.
The goal seems to be to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius.
1.5 degrees Celsius.
1.5 within reach.
To just 1.5 degrees Celsius, this is the challenge of our collective lifetimes. The existential threat to human existence as we know it.
As a disclaimer, since the publishing of this 2018 report, the models and data the authors relied upon have since then been updated and revised to be much worse than outlined back then. Also, I'm aware that additional tipping points which were not included in the report, which are to include the melting of the summer Arctic sea ice, permafrost melt, among others, would in turn be releasing the equivalent of gigatons more of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So for the sake of not going down that rabbit hole, I'm going to keep this simple and provide you with a spreadsheet of what we can expect at a bare minimum the catastrophe that we're to experience on the planet, our one and only planet. So what I did here was made a very simple spreadsheet of the effects and how much percentage of the population would be affected. So for instance, sea level rise would affect 80 million people, or 1% of the world's population. Severe drought, 411 million, or 5% of the world's population, which also doesn't include food shortages as a subsequent result. Lethal heat waves occurring for 3 billion people, or 37% of the world's population. The coral reefs dying would be 1 billion, or almost 12% of the world's population at a minimum. Air pollution causing 150 million premature deaths, or nearly 2%, and of course biodiversity loss affecting everyone on the planet. All told, it would be around 4.629 billion people, or nearly 54% of the world's population being either directly or indirectly affected by climate change. So essentially you would have a third to a half, maybe more of the world's population scrambling to find fresh water, food, shelter, and habitable ambient temperatures. So as you can clearly see, things are pretty bleak. All of this also doesn't take into account soil degradation and the true amount of fresh water supply that would be diminished for billions. As a bonus, here's the most recent peer-reviewed literature exposing areas of the planet that would experience several hours a year of lethal wet bulb temperatures. Remember, it only takes up to 6 hours for even a young and healthy individual to be fatally affected by this. Additionally, what the IPCC also relies on is us introducing carbon dioxide removal into the mix. So essentially the only way we'd even remotely reach the targets outlined in this now outdated report and subsequent reports following it is to not only stop emitting greenhouse gases at such an incomprehensible level as we are today, but also literally vacuum them out of the sky, or employing what they call carbon dioxide drawdown technology, which we would then need to build everywhere on the planet right now. Also, maybe refreezing the poles and reflecting sunlight back out into space. Finally, the purpose of this content was not to scare you, but merely remind you of our extremely dire predicament. Based on thousands of hours of studying this, along with my subscribers all over the planet, I anticipate us as a species to be nearly completely decimated by 2040. And if we aren't already by then any remaining survivors would wish they were. I encourage you to live in the present moment and practice love and compassion wherever and whenever you can. I struggle with this myself, as many humans tend to irk me on a visceral level. What matters is that you try to enjoy what little time remaining and encourage those in your company to try to do the same. Thanks for watching.